We're here. It's been a little while, and I am sorry, but we're back for another episode of the Back Bone Zone. You probably thought that I just lamed out and didn't want to do it anymore, but that's not the case. Things are crazy busy at the moment, and I just thought I would, kind of kick the podcast back in the into gear after, a month off. It's been really exciting behind the scenes here at Backbone and with the BMX Club Fact that we have. So I just thought I'd touch on what's going on in terms of Ajam, and then also some of the things that's going on, just BMX news in Australia. So first things first, Ajam, is 2 weekends away now. So it's November 10 to 12. If you don't already know, I'm sure you do. But Friday is going to be at Belconnen Skate Park, just across the road from the shop here. And then the 11th and 12th, so the Saturday and Sunday, are going to be at Shomlo Forest Park, which we've been building. We've basically gotten across the line. I actually spoke about this in a previous podcast. Basically, BMX trails are getting built right now, phase 1 of a BMX facility. And that's obviously really exciting for us because, we're going to have trails open to the public. Obviously, anyone can come and ride them after Ajam. And it's going to be massive. Like, I got to test ride it last night. I'll actually bring up a clip. So I got to test ride it last night. You might be able to see it here on the screen now if you're watching it. The first 5 jumps. So basically the first 4 jumps, we made it so that they are really big and fast, and they feel quite fast and downhill, which is cool. The 4th jump is going to be kind of like a mini Showtime. But when I say mini, it's probably still about 18 foot long. And maybe like an 8-foot lip. And it steps up a little bit. And then the 5th jump is like maybe between a 22 and 25 foot step down shark fin, left hand shark fin. So that's gonna kind of separate people. We've kind of made it in sections so that hopefully the top 4 can get ridden by people that are a little bit more new to riding trails. And then it really takes a bit more commitment to jump that left-hand shark fin. And then there's 2 more jumps to go. So there's going to be like a 30-foot-ish jump that's going to be, just a banger jump. It's going to be sick. And then a last step up, which is going to be, if you say we're talking 30 foot, it's going to basically the next jump might not even be 15 foot, and the intention is for you to go as high as you possibly can. So really looking forward to that. It's been a massive amount of work to get that done, and we're really lucky to have a crew that's involved, which is actually my friend Rain Turnbull. He won the job legitimately through the government. He had to put up a tender just like everyone else, and he won it. So he's enlisted the help of Tom Mallet, who is a supreme, kind of trail builder in an official sense. He's worked for a bunch of trail building companies in the past. He's just been a part of the scene for a long time, and he knows his way around big machinery and how to build jumps out of using big machines. And then they've also got a guy that maybe some of you hardcore trail dudes may know him as Brazil. So Jal, I think that's how you pronounce his first name. But he's from up the Central Coast way. He is supreme shaper of lips, and it's coming together really better than I could have expected. I think everyone's going to have a lot of fun on these jumps. So anyway, Saturday and Sunday at Ajam, we're going to have a full ramp course that's more of a street centric setup that's being built and assembled by Jason Watts, as in the one and only Jason Watts, who you would probably also know has universal ramps, and he builds, insane stuff. Everything from the Olympic replica course that they built on the Gold Coast a couple of years ago to, heaps of backyard stuff, Dennis Anderson's backyard, all that type of stuff. So Saturday, Sunday, it's going to go the ramp stuff, moving up to the trails. Then we're going to have a party on Saturday night down there with some bands and whatnot. And then Sunday, we're going to do it all again. And then after the riding on the Sunday evening, we're going to have the video competition premiere. So the entries are closed now. Unless you've forgotten, you've got like a day to get it into me. Just email it to club@backbonebmx.com.au. But we've had heaps of entries come in for that, which is really exciting. Basically, the rules were simple. 5-minute video up to, a crew of riders, or you could have one rider. And we're going to basically play the top videos kind of in no particular order on the night until we get to the final 3 videos will be played just like you're watching a regular BMX video where it ends with the top video. So the last video will be the ender part of the premiere, and that video and the crew and the filmer and the rider will win $3,000. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be crazy. We got some really good sponsors this year that are helping out. Boost Mobile has obviously come on board as the naming rights partner. But if you want to check out, there's a bunch of information on the website. So if you head to backbonebmx.com/Ajam 2023, it'll come to this page, and then you can scroll down, find a bunch about it, as well as how to register to ride. Just want to make it very clear that you have to be registered to ride Stromlo, just for insurance purposes. It's a big deal for us to put on an event like this, and to be able to ride it, you basically have to be an Oz Cycling member. You can either already be a member, and then you can just pay the small entry fee that we have for the days. The entry fee helps us to run jams like this. So, we're giving away $5,000 prize money. So, as well as, we've got a bunch of other expenses that come through running an event like this. So make sure you sign up. Just quickly, it's $74 for insurance for the weekend, and then it's $15 per day. So if you don't want to sign up to Oz Cycling, it's $74. But if you do want to sign up to Oz Cycling, I think you can either get a 4-week free trial, or you can get one of the off-road memberships, which has monthly options. I personally do that anyway. It's $23 a month. So if you were to pay $23, boom, you signed up to Oz Cycling, and then you go in to the register to ride link, and that's going to give you the ability to sign up to the jam, and you'll just pay the entry fee of $15 a day. So, I would like to think that that's a fair price. It's one of the biggest events in the world these days. We've literally got a trail course essentially that's going to rival anything that you've seen probably worldwide. Like, it's literally going to be like Red Bull Dreamline, I would say. It's insane. I wrote it last night. It's absolutely unbelievable. So, please sign up, bring a helmet, or you can buy one from the shop. But so the Act Jam's coming up, 2 weekends. Make sure you're here. It's going to be insane. One of the things that I wanted to touch on as well today was just I've been listening to, as maybe some of you have also listened to, the Harold McGruther podcast on Our BMX. I really wanted to touch on it. I'm actually started it from about 2 hours in, and I'm still about 45 minutes away from finishing it. It's a 5.5 hour podcast, but it's really struck me just how, I guess, important this podcast is. And, you know, for starters, for those that don't know who McGoo is, he's been essentially part of the industry, BMX industry, since the very early 80s. He's pioneered a lot of what modern freestyle BMX is today. He has owned Snafu, so he's also been a part of BMX Plus magazine, and he amongst a bunch of other things, big brands like Mongoose, GT. He's done it all and seen it all, and it's really interesting to hear from an industry perspective, because there's just not that many people like that. And the podcast is co-hosted with Chris Moeller, and obviously Chris Moeller owns S&M. And one of the things that I wanted to speak about was just their conversation about how is the BMX industry doomed. And that's, you know, you could potentially see it as a pretty scary thing to have two of potentially two of the most pivotal personalities in BMX talking about, is BMX doomed as an industry. Chris Moeller does talk a lot about how he has been doing S&M for 36 years, and he's asking where are all the new BMX brands at, and also he's saying, how much longer do I have to do this? You know, I could be, this is his words, but he says, you know, I could die tomorrow and there would be no more S&M effectively. And I guess when I was initially listening to this, it's pretty scary to hear that. Being a BMX shop, you know, Back Bone's 18 years old now, and we obviously believe a lot in BMX as an industry and community and whatnot. And I really took a lot of what Moeller and McGoo was saying pretty damn seriously, to be honest. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, and again, I'm going to paraphrase, and I've only listened through it once, so I'm going a lot off memory, but essentially they talk about how competition in the 80s essentially played a role in killing what freestyle BMX is. So again, I'm paraphrasing, but what the idea is that in the 80s, people were going around doing shows, effectively showing the world, the general public, what freestyle BMX was. So they would set up a couple of ramps, or they would go to a parking lot, maybe even with no ramps, and they would do demos essentially to show what BMX was about. And that was actually a planned thing, you know, from companies. So they would do that. And that is what took the world by storm and started, you know, freestyle BMX in a bigger sense. Now, obviously, there's always ebb and flow of popularity with sports, but I think that's, from what I can gather, is what brought BMX to kind of where it is today. But along the line, and I'm not 100% sure who it was that did this, but it became it changed from being an expression of freestyle in these demos, and you know, some people were doing really crazy tricks, some people were doing, you know, what maybe some of us would think of as goofy flatland tricks, or you know, kind of circusy stuff, but everything was on the spectrum of freestyle BMX. You know, there's always a discussion about how BMX is freestyle. There's no rules, you can do whatever you want. But somewhere along the line, someone decided, you know what, the best way to move this forward would be is to turn this competitive. So rather than it being a demo, we can actually turn it into a competition, and that is what is going to grow BMX. And McGoo kind of hypothesizes, or it's his opinion, that the competition scene is effectively what then killed BMX, because from what historically has happened is somewhere in the late 80s, BMX was like going really well and killing it, to then BMX really took a dive and died off, and McGoo sort of assumes that competition had a lot to do with that. And his reasoning is because everyone then started to see it as a better, this person's better than this person. I need to be this good to be able to ride BMX. And the average Joe the average Joe kid on a Stingray who just got into BMX for the freedom and the expression began to think, well, I'm not good enough to be able to do this, so I'm just going to quit. And that's what drove essentially BMX into like a death. Or, there was a bit of a BMX recession. And of course, hardcore BMX has still kept it alive and whatnot. And I think that's to hear that and understand these two people in the industry that kind of agree the same sort of thing, that, competitive BMX is what has killed BMX. It's really important to take notice of that, in my opinion. And I've touched on this before in other podcasts, but BMX is, of course, competitive, and riding these days, is next level. It's gnarly as if you watch street riding, it's ridiculous. People are doing freaking, like, if you look at what happened at X Games Real Street, it's unbelievable. People doing like 540 bar spins and full cab double trucks down massive stair sets and whatever else. And to a lot of people, that is unattainable. I think it takes a certain type of person to watch that and say, I'm going to be as good as that. It takes a person that's very driven. And that's the same with the competitive freestyle park scene at the moment. If you were to watch that as a young kid coming up, it's very difficult for you to say, oh, I'm going to be as good as that. Or maybe as you're watching it, you think, oh, I'm going to try and do that. And then you go to the skate park and maybe you're not the most naturally gifted rider. So it very quickly becomes that you're not going to be able to do that. And that's where people disappear from the sport. And Moeller and McGoo sort of say that that's what's happening now is, there's not really kids riding street like there used to be. There's not really a lot of just people out on the streets riding BMX. That's sort of all disappeared, and a lot of people are riding mountain bikes. But Moeller did say that the trail scene is what is sort of keeping BMX alive, and I can agree with that. Being someone who's completely obsessed with trail riding myself, I know that I'm not the best rider. When I ride, I'm not even trying to be the best rider. But when you go to the skate park, it very quickly becomes about what is someone doing at the skate park that you can kind of replicate. And at the moment, the riding at the skate park is so next level. Whereas when you go to the trails, you can ride the trails, and I kind of am like this myself, is all you're really trying to do is catch backside, land smooth, maybe whip it out, but it's all about the feeling of riding BMX. It's the expression, and to be honest, it's the freestyle of it all. And because you're riding something that you built, that expression has come out in your going there and just building, that it kind of creates an even more passionate BMX rider, because you've got something that you've spent so much time digging and not riding, that then when you are there, you're happy to enjoy the simplicity of it. Now, my point in this and my take in this is that BMX isn't done, and it's definitely not doomed, but we need to be able to see how we can grow and sustain BMX to make it more popular. I've said this from the start, and I actually got a lot of backlash over this, but there's no reason why BMX couldn't be more popular, and I actually think that it would be really cool and beneficial and positive if it was more popular. But its current form right now, I can see how people wouldn't want it to become more popular, because people are assuming that by more popular, that means more competitive, more nitro circus. And just so that you are completely aware, I don't think the nitro circus is a bad thing. Actually, really am impressed by all of the big tricks that dudes do. You know, like I follow R Willie on Instagram. He does some crazy stuff, and it's not what I can do, but it's impressive. You know, he's pushing the limits. But we've got to really realize that BMX could easily be the same as surfing. Surfing is massive sport. Now, there are a small percentage of surfers that do surfing for competition's sake, and there's a very small percentage of surfers that do surfing to push the limits of what can be done on a surfboard. You know, so if you think about, I remember a few years back when I was watching surfing, there was like Kelly Slater and John Florence. They were both trying to do a 720. That's next level stuff on a surfboard, but I can only assume, but the majority of people that surf, they're not looking to go out and push the limits of their surfing every time. All they're doing is getting on their board, they go out, they enjoy it for the purity of surfing, and that's what's happening. So there's a real lifestyle aspect to surfing that really overtakes the rest of what surfing is about, and that's what's given surfing longevity. And as an industry, it keeps, you know, obviously things alive now in terms of, you know, people being able to be sponsored. There's a surf shop in literally every town, regardless of whether it's by the coast or not. And this is where people that surf, they wouldn't think that any of that is bad, because all they're doing is going out and enjoying surfing. Now, with BMX, it's sort of a similar thing. I guess if there's 10 people riding the whole world, then whatever, those 10 people probably having a pretty good time doing what they do. But if there is more facilities to ride, there's more places to ride, if there's more community, there's more of a lifestyle, then of course the industry grows, and then that creates even better opportunities for more different types of people that ride, and also different levels of riding, and this whole sport as a whole just gets better. So I think there's a real opportunity for BMXers to sort of steer BMX in a way that they want it to go, in terms of we can still definitely have the competitive aspect of bike riding, and there's totally nothing wrong with that. I actually, like I said before, I really enjoy watching that competitive aspect, but in terms of, for me, I'm not interested in doing that. And I think that that's where trails, there's obviously the hardcore aspect to trails, where there's just old guys in the woods digging and riding their bikes. But I think that there seems to be this missing link with BMX only trying to be about being the best rider, and only sort of getting rewarded for being the best type of rider. Whereas in a lot of other industries, it can be more celebrated that you are displaying an art form, and though that sort of thing resonates with different people. So I guess another point that Moeller brought up was there's a new magazine called Stoke, which I'm subscribed to. It's the guy's from Dig have made a magazine dedicated to old people riding. Now, I don't consider myself an old person riding, but I guess I really love I just really love BMX, so I'm just going to buy a magazine when it comes out and subscribe to it. And I love being able to celebrate legends in the sport, and I think that's something that we don't do enough of. But Moeller said that, you know, it's kind of a bit alienating because we're still just looking at old people riding and what they're doing, and it's only looking at one section of BMX. We're not really celebrating young riders. And I do agree with him to a point, but what I think Stoke does that's really good is it shows that people can just go and do things, or not things, people can just go and do BMX for the enjoyment of it. I think there's too many people that once they feel like they can't reach a certain level of riding, they fall off of it, but then they pick up mountain biking, or at least they do in Canberra. And I'd love to hear in the comments if you think the same thing in your town. But people pick up mountain biking because they can no longer ride BMX the way they do, and they continue on with mountain biking for ages, and all of the money that would have potentially stayed in BMX now is in mountain biking. So BMX doesn't grow, only mountain biking grows. And now this comes back to what I spoke about with the BMX facility, phase 1 of the BMX facility, the trails that we got built up at Stromlo. This is now a chance for us as BMX riders in Canberra, and obviously Australia-wide, to take advantage of something that is being built for BMXs. So, you know, mountain bike riders, everything to do with mountain biking had nothing to do with this spot being built. Apart from, I did get a letter of support from Caroline Buchanan, and I do thank her for that. That's awesome. But, you know, she was an 8-time world champion BMX rider, and obviously has built her career on BMX riding, 2-time Olympic, you know, competitor, and obviously rides mountain bikes as well. But what I'm getting at is, you know, there's this place that has been built for BMX, and now people need to realize that they can go there and continue their BMX journey instead of moving into something like mountain biking. And I think it's time for BMX to sort of grow and almost take a lot of what mountain biking has taken from BMX in terms of trails and put it back in the hands of BMX riders. So, you know, I can see a new style of BMX emerging where there's no reason why we can't, you know, go into these cycling parks and have lines that are built for BMX to be the appropriate vehicle to ride on these things. You know, like, I think what mountain biking does is you start at the top, you finish at the bottom, and you can still make your way through the park. And when you get to the bottom, you're like, yeah, I did the same line that the local hotshot can do, but I made it to the bottom. Now BMX needs to sort of have that same sort of thing, where with the jumps, you start at the top, you get to the bottom, it's really fun, but if you don't jump everything, there's no dire consequences. And that's what we're trying to do with the blue line at Stromlo, is have a place where it's like, this is built for BMX. It's not built for mountain biking. Yeah, mountain bikers can ride it, but it's going to be something where you're going to enjoy it the most on a BMX bike. And then from there, you can then see, okay, well, I can get to the bottom of that line. Now I'm going to step up and go to the next line, and so on and so forth. So I guess that's one avenue, and I think that there's the ability to take a lot of different things in a lot of different avenues, a lot of different parts of BMX, you know, street, even park riding, bowl riding. All of that stuff can be taken into consideration to build the lifestyle of BMX more. You know, I think that we really need to realize that BMX is a lifestyle. It's not about being good on a bike. It's about enjoying yourself, making friends, freedom of expression, maybe having just the self-satisfaction of doing something that you haven't done before, adventure, all of that stuff. There's so much opportunity for BMX to grow, and I don't think that the BMX industry is doomed, but we just need to perhaps collectively look at what we can do to celebrate the art form of BMX and not necessarily be looking at how can we continue to get better at riding BMX. So there's actually something that I've got kind of cooking up for next year. I'm really excited to share it. I'm not going to share it here now, but it will be, it will be out in the next couple of weeks. That hopefully contributes to this. But I'm actually really looking forward to the way BMX is going to go in the future, rather than thinking that it's going to be doomed. Obviously, I'm in it for love. I'm in it because I think that BMX is the thing that's changed my life, and I want to see more people, or every person that rides BMX, enjoy the same things as what I get out of it. And I think that there's lots of opportunities to come. So I know that's a little bit all over the place. Again, speaking about the idea of the BMX industry being doomed. We don't want that to happen, because if the BMX industry gets doomed, then people stop making rad bikes, rad events stop happening, all that sort of stuff. And you can assume that you're still going to ride BMX, and I'm sure that people will, but we want to make sure that the industry prospers and continues to grow so that more sick shit can happen for BMX. So simple as that. Anyway, I really look forward to seeing everyone who comes to the Ajam in a couple of weeks. Please follow Fact BMX on Instagram. That's the name of our club, Fact, F-A-C-T BMX, stands for Freestyle ACT BMX. And follow Back Bone, of course. And look forward to doing more of these podcasts more frequently, especially now as Ajam and all the organising is kind of wrapping up. So thanks for listening. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And cheers. See you in the next one.